Hello and welcome back. This is the Latinaxe Lit Podcast. The Latinaxe Lit Podcast focuses on Latina, Latinx, and Latina writers and how their work aids in the movement of social justice. Today's episode, hosted by Dr. Jackie Cuevas, features Anel I, Flores, Anel I, and Reb Mari, members of the first group of writers within the residency Otra Teller Nepantla. Otra Teller Nepantla was created by Anel I Flores. Anel I Flores is an author and artist whose work focuses on the LGBTQIA+ community and people of color. Anel I is a musician and writer from Honduras. Her music is based on her personal feelings and experiences. Reb Mari is a poet and entrepreneur. She owns La Botanica, a restaurant that's found its home in San Antonio. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy this episode of the Latinaxe Lit Podcast.
Hi, I'm Anel Flores. I'm a fiction writer, poet, and visual artist. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. I identify as a queer Chicanx lesbiana. That's it, visual artist and writer.
Hi, I'm Exy. I also go by Anel. I'm from Honduras. I am a musician. I'm still discovering myself.
My name is Reb Mari. I am a Chichimeca, Chicana, Tejana artist. I do performance art as well as writer and stuff around food as medicine and healing.
Okay, Otra Teller Nepantla came originally from learning from Santa Barasa, Chicana artist in Kingsville. She talked to me about Gloria Anzaldua's residency that she hosted in 1995 in California. La Teller Nepantla came from the Catalyst for Change Award. It's similar to, what happened with me. Gloria Anzaldua was given an award, an opportunity, and so she put that money into creating a residency for Santa Barasa, Liviana Wilson, Anzaldua, and a couple other artists, 5 total. So when I learned about that from Santa, I thought, I want to do that. That's my dream. I wanted to recreate what she did. I wanted to create a space where I could look at artists around my community, artists and writers, musicians that I knew had a light and that had not gone out, wasn't going to go out, artists and writers that were going to continue to do work through social justice, like Anzaldua has charged me and others. So I put it in the universe, I'm just going to find some money somewhere and I'm going to do it. And then I got an award 6 months later. So then, manifest. And the award came into my hands and I said, I'm going to do it. I said I wanted to do it. I said I was looking for money. So I'm going to have this money and I'm going to create a residency like Anzaldua's, create a space where Black, Indigenous, POC folks, LGBTQIA, I'm saying all of it, transgender, non-binary folks can be here. And I'm using those terms, all of them, specifically because these are the communities that are left out of mainstream residencies around the country. So I want to create a space where this is all I'm looking for. I looked around and very close to me found wonderful writers and artists of multiple genres and wanted them to be part of this residency, Otra Teller Nepantla, to give them a space that was non-judgmental, non-threatening, safe for them to create and not have to have too many responsibilities hovering over them and give them free time to create, so that we can all come together, have common threads, energies, and spirits, and create work that's non-threatening, that we can not judge each other, but support each other and provide feedback that's also authentic, based on our experiences. I wanted to create a residency and I'm hoping, and I am creating a residency that will be biennial. So every other year, the odd year, we will have a residency that'll be a 1 month long, in February, 28 days, specifically in February, where each resident will be inviting the future resident to the space. It also changes the dynamics of that gatekeeper way of people applying and so on and so forth. I want to take those out so that we can create opportunities that are not cliquish or classist or so on and so forth. And so that's what Otra Teller Nepantla is. It's a space for LGBTQIA BIPOC folks to come, to write, to paint, to create, to make magic and medicine with their work biannually. So Otra Teller Nepantla.
Will you tell us what brought you to this residency, why you're here, what you're hoping to get out of it and accomplish?
I came here with a lot of confusion as to where to go as a musician. I was coming with the hopes of really being able to dig deep within myself to see what it is that is stopping me from truly being the artist that I know that I am and that I can be. And so I truly feel like this space is giving me that through the conversations, the pláticas, the presentations that we have been able to access through Anel. And we've been learning so much on what it means to be an artist, what it means to use our experiences in order to create and to heal ourselves and heal others. I came with, not knowing too much about what was going to happen. This is my first experience being in a residency. And so I just came really wanting to learn as much as possible and also come out of my shell. I tend to be really shy about my music. I'm here to change that and to leave this space a much more confident artist, a much more confident musician and person. I was sharing with Anel that this experience hasn't just been a growing experience for me as an artist, but also as a person. I'm finding time to heal and to also reflect on a lot of the personal traumas, personal things that I've experienced that sometimes we don't get to do that, right? Back home because of the hustle and bustle and going to work and having to just continue and not really getting a stopping point to just breathe and think about these things. And so it's been really releasing. It's also been very comforting to see Anel and other participants here open up and be vulnerable. It does feel like a very safe place to be as an artist and as a human. And I'm very thankful for that. And so I hope to leave here with these memories and carry them with me, take them with me whenever I do perform the music that I'm creating here in La Otra.
Very good. Great. Okay. How about you, Reb? What are you hoping to get out of this? So what drove you to do this in this moment? And what does this residency mean for you? Where will you be on the other side of this, do you think?
I've always known the importance of space, right? For the last 5 years, I was started, owned, run, managed La Botanica in San Antonio. And so this idea of holding space, being around space is something that I've been actively doing in San Antonio. But I also learned that from my mothers, who worked in nonprofits, who are artists, themselves. So I knew that being able to come to a space that was queer-centered around Gloria Anzaldua's ideas and just spirit was going to be magical, and it's necessary, right, for the world that we are creating. I very much wanted to be a part of it, and it came at a perfect timing in my life where I was able to be a part of it. And so, it was something I discussed with my partner, it was really important to have her support, to be able to leave the home for so long, for 28 days. And we both said, hey, this is an opportunity you have now to take. We don't know what the future holds, so let's go forward with it. And so here I am. And it's just been so great to reconnect to I was telling you, the beginning of who I am. I feel like I've always, my first artistry, I guess, is of course, when you're young, you're singing and you're dancing, but I, writing poems, right, as a young age. So to return back to the pen, and to write poetry, have the time to think about, the world and write about it. And that's what's happening here. I started my blog. I had posts before, but I'm trying to do it more regularly to share in this, because there's another thing that Anel, talked about, that the first residency is not highly documented. We don't know a lot about what was going on there. So I naturally wanted to start the blog already. And then she was like, oh, this is so great because we don't know about it. The first Napantla. It motivated me even more. And it's allowed me to tap into creative writing and storytelling and my voice. I'm here being present, letting things flow, allowing the nature to also influence me, from the weather to the birds to the water, to these other amazing artists around me. And yeah, it's creating a beautiful experience. And I'm really excited for everything that's going to come from it, not just for myself, but for each of us here, and to be able to share it with all of you out there.
On the residency, I'm really focusing on my graphic memoir and finding the recurring themes around it. So I've just been brainstorming and really brainstorming the recurring themes of my memoir. And then I'm starting a table of contents so I can really figure out what the beginning and end is going to be. So just getting organized. And when I go home, I'm able to have all the material ready and can start really deeply diving into my graphic memoir. Pintada de Rojo is about the other side of trauma. It's about learning about queer love. And and being a queer lover of all things, queer lover of nature, of spirit, of my wife, my family, my friends, and community. So it's about healing and learning to love.
Actually, tell us about your music. What kind of music do you make? How did that come about? Were you trained in that? Did you grow up singing? What kind of music do you want to be doing? Anything about your music that you want to tell us, please?
My music, I've heard it described as it's its own genre. I agree with that. I play a little bit of everything. I don't have a lot of understanding of like how the production side of things work or making beats or anything like that. I play everything live and I have an array of instruments. I think it's funny because I see an instrument and I get interested and I'm like, I'm gonna play that. I learned that through working with other musicians and seeing them not stopping at just learning one instrument, but knowing 4 and 5 and they're in their 50s and they're like, and I'm still learning more. And so that really inspired me. I was actually a part of a band called Dharma Pash. And I was very inspired by everyone in that band. They knew how to play multiple things. And so I'm like, I want to be that kind of musician as well. Why stop at one? And so that has helped me so much as a person to see the potential that we all have, right? To do many things at once and not just one thing. I play Native American flutes, like the pan flute, this double flute that I might share with y'all. Well, I'm learning how to play the xylophone. Family, I learned that they were musicians, generations back. There's always been musicians in my family. So I want to follow those footsteps and be able to carry that on in my lifetime as well. So I haven't had like professional training in music. I just kind of pick up and explore and play around with the instruments. And so I think that because of the many generations in my family of musicians that I just learn it really quick. It's always a nice feeling when you can learn something quick. It makes you want to do it more. I think for me, what helped me find music was the hurt, the pain in life. It was like a last resort, before feeling like everything was lost. And it was the flute actually that helped me learn how to breathe again, because when we're really stressed, we forget to breathe and we choke ourselves and we, like we're not breathing at all, barely. And so we wonder why we feel like there's an elephant on our chest, and it's because we're not breathing. And so the flute has been my teacher to take deep breaths in order to have good, soft notes that can really emit a vibration of healing for myself and for others who hear it. Right now, I'm composing 4 songs that I will be presenting at another residency because I'm doing 2 at once. It's called Nosotros Somos, but with the X, like, to make it inclusive. It is a residency also where we get to explore with art and tell our stories, our migrant stories. All my music has to do with migration and land, being rooted, culture. Some of my music is also in Cotic, the Lenca language, which is one of the indigenous languages of Honduras, where I'm from. I tie it all back to that place, my place of birth.
Right now, I am documenting this residency through my blog. So so far I have 2 blog posts up. The first one is just kind of an introduction, a little bit of storytelling of, here we are. And then the second one is an ode to all the artists I'm around, and so that the people reading it can also know a little bit more of who's here through my eyes and how I see them. My writing style is very, as if you're talking to me. It's very conversationalist. If you know me, you can hear it. It's like I'm speaking right to you, and telling you a story. After your plática yesterday, I opened up my laptop and I wrote a poem, and I was so inspired to write a poem, and I'll share it with you later. So yeah, those are the things that are just naturally happening while we're here. Is this, for me, a reconnection to, where I've come from, and what I was doing as a small child and being around a lot of artists in San Antonio on the art scene. So my writing it's coming out, and who knows, maybe it'll turn into a queer, Tejana Eat, Pray, Love, novel or travel book. So we'll see. Right now, I'm really just wanting to really log what's been happening here. What are my feelings? What did we eat? What's going on? So I'm documenting all of that. Whether it gets published or not, it'll at least be in our archives as well, so that when we go to do this again, there are stories for other people to read, right? Which is what was so important for me about Gloria was that I remember reading This Bridge Called My Back for the first time and being angry that no one gave me the book sooner. To me, that's what I feel. It's like, I want to write that poem. I want to perform that dance, or I want to share that story, because I know that there's some, 14-year-old, 16-year-old, 25-year-old, 55-year-old, what out there that's going to read it and go, oh my gosh, I feel a little bit free now, or this is familiar, or I'm not the only one who thinks like this. I want to be able to pass that on the way in which, the writers in that book did in This Bridge Called My Back, and the way that, Gloria did for us in so many of her writings. I just think it's important. And I think what's also happening here beyond my writing is also connecting, deeper connection to, being a danzante with Danza Azteca. And another thing I really loved about Gloria was, her connection to that, and not just thinking about it in theory, but in deep reverence and practice and belief, and honoring it, in a way that a lot of people weren't doing back then, really talking about Goyo Shauki in a way that, wasn't being done in these ideas of academia and these larger spaces that were just like, oh, that's just mythology. That's just mythology. I feel like it's full circle. It's coming full circle for me in my life.
So one of the things we're thinking about in this podcast is Latina, Latinx, Latina writers and social justice, and how or whether they might see their writing, their work in the world, their art, whatever it is, music, the other forms of art, whether it's danza, other things that are cultural practices for, making meaning and telling story in the world, whether you see that in service of social justice, however you interpret that. It could be like directly political, like for some people, or it might be more about, connecting with community or what have you, or in service of community. Do you see your work in those ways, like in terms of like what you hope that it can do or will do in the world?
I absolutely feel that every time I shake my rattle and dance a certain danza with as much precision as possible, that I am creating vibrations that are going out, healing vibrations, opening vibrations. I'm honoring the Mother Earth. I'm honoring ancestors. And in turn, that will affect the world to be better, to return back to a place that is something that's more coexisting, right? Like right now, we really understand as humans how much we don't coexist with nature. And so I definitely want my work to help back with that connection, that deeper connection that we know we all want and crave. And it's not something that just white, hetero men get to do with their Patagonia jackets, and their privilege, so I'm really very much into that, showing that, like, hey, look at my, with my dark hair, my dark eyes, casting this fishing rod and watching, the birds fly. I don't have a Patagonia jacket, but, it's okay. And not that if I did, there'd be anything wrong with it, but I get so angry when I see that it's so much of what was ours, just this connection has been severed and given to other people, and said, hey, this is for you, and everyone else just has to work. And so, yeah, I think the fact that they're even taking 28 days and saying, look, we're doing it. You can do it too. It's possible. It's important. Here's a story. I think that absolutely it's tied to social justice.
I have songs that are very angry songs. They're meant to empower. There's one that says, you have the bullet, I have the word. You have the bullet that dies when it detonates. I have the word that lives as it replicates. It is a direct jab at the state that we're in, right? That they believe that by killing us, that they're going to silence the truth and that they're going to silence everyone, by killing the leaders that are standing at the forefront, protecting the water, protecting the lands, fighting for the people that are unjustly being incarcerated, put in cages. I definitely feel like my music is speaking to those experiences, and I'm always inspired by others that have the audacity, the courage to do that kind of stuff too. As a migrant, it becomes something that I have to constantly think about, like, can I be courageous, and can I put this, what's really in my heart out there? Being here in this space and seeing other people doing their thing and being confident about it gives me confidence as well to say, yeah, I can do this. And just like Rebel was saying, a lot of times we think that this is only the life for people who have the means to do it, whether it's the means financially, with the time, with the privilege. Being here shows me that, yeah, like, it is possible for us to also do that. For a migrant, for someone who comes from something so, simple, right? Living a simple life, which would be considered, poverty stricken or whatever, but really it's just living with the land a little bit more closer. Families, people like that, community like that, we don't have a lot of access to these opportunities, to this technology, because our families, our communities are so used to being, the technology is the earth, is the land, is the water, the technology is our body. It's really interesting. It feels like I'm kind of pulled out of that and getting the opportunity to bring that with me to this kind of space. And so I think that in itself is activism, to be able to cross these borders. We were talking about being two-spirit, and so it almost feels like we're being two spirits in this world of technology and artistry, and, where only certain type of people exist. And we also have our other foot in our communities, where sometimes these opportunities don't exist. And so I think two-spirit can be taken in so many different directions, and it feels really good, to be able to have this opportunity to express and to say, like, hey, this is who we are in our communities, and we also create, and we also are thinking artistic, and it's magical.
The taller itself is definitely social justice in that it's able to offer an opportunity, and it kind of shows, it gives folks an opportunity to see that there's a possibility, that there are funds out there, there are awards, there are people that are willing to donate, or foundations that are willing to give money. There are ways to find money to put it in these spaces and create. And that in itself is a political move. And then in terms of writing, each sentence, like Reb said, like Exie said, seeing yourself for one moment in a piece of work, finding a line, a sentence, a drawing, a picture, a song, hearing a tune that reminds you or takes you to a place of strength and of empowerment, will take that other reader, that other viewer, that other listener, will take them to the next level, and they will take their political action with their strength. So each thing that we write or sing or play or whatever make is going to be lifting somebody else while it's lifting ourselves. So that's absolutely political, definitely social justice and activism. La Otra Teller Nepantla came because I was awarded the Catalyst for Change Award from the National Association of Latinos in Arts and Culture, NALAC, which is an incredible organization.
I'll share two songs. The first one is just a sneak peek into what I will be presenting after this residency. It is relating back to why I call myself the Ceiba tree, or Ceiba Ili. I will be performing songs and poetry or short stories in between. And so this is one that I'm still editing. It goes, the statuesque Ceiba tree has been witness to the exodus of people migrating, leaving as the drugs and contraband slither by in her forests. All her relatives, all her tree relatives are also witness, all the way north where they go. The Ceiba has been witness to the extraction of all life around her. She communicates through her roots, all the way north and all the way south, hearing about caravans of people, hearing about militarized borders and countries, rivers dying, and she sends strength through her spiritual channels from the ancestors in the other dimensions all the way to the blistered feet of mothers carrying their babies for strength on their journey. For this shift, for strength for this shift. I am still here, La Ceiba reminds them, you are never alone. I wrote that one because the Ceiba tree is like Awa from Avatar. She is the tree that a lot of my people connect to, and wherever the Ceiba grows, I've learned that people connect to her, maybe not with the braids, but they connect in many other ways, and she's very much alive. She's known as the mother of the forest, and she's always in communication with the trees around. And that one I wrote to introduce Gente Fuerte, which is in Spanish, so I'll sing a little bit. Hemos venido a decir que nuestra gente es muy fuerte. Hemos venido a decir que nuestra gente es guerrera. Hemos venido a decir que nuestra gente es muy fuerte. Hemos venido a decir, mamá, que nuestra gente es guerrera. Yo sé que hay mamás caminando con sus niños en brazos, con los pies reventados, con desesperación y esperanza. Y'all are making me emotional here. It's a song very close to home, and so I have to do a lot of prepping when I sing it, and so I didn't do that today, and that's why it got me this time. But it is a song that speaks about the mothers coming and migrating, not just from Central America, but as I've learned in this residency, the Chilenas and everyone else migrating and flowing through South America to find a better place to be. So I'll also share a little bit of flute. Yeah. It's my honor to share with you all, and I hope to share these gifts even more in a place where I'm much more stable and that I can speak with more courage and strength when I speak about something. So close to home.
I wrote this poem. It's about my favorite poet, which is my mother, Nancy Angelini Rodriguez. And it goes like this. My dear Mama, I don't carry your Catholic guilt, but I would happily do so if it helped you stand up more tall and proud. Mama, I don't carry your Catholic guilt, but I would happily do so if it meant you wouldn't get pain in your panza. Mother, I don't carry your Catholic guilt, but I would lovingly do so if it meant you wouldn't think less of yourself. Mom, I don't carry your Catholic guilt, but I would kindly do so if it allowed you to hold your wife's brown hand and share kisses of affection more often in public. Mama, I don't carry your Catholic guilt, and nor should you. Let me help you shed those years of oppression, one loving stroke, as I weave your trenza like you used to weave mine. With laughter from deep in our bellies and from the overwhelming love that we have for one another. Adios, Catholic guilt. We no longer need you. We never needed you. The end. I read that poem at Botanica. We were a fundraiser for the conference, and I got asked to read, and I was the poem I wrote, but I was like frantically working at La Botanica, just thinking and you know, writing it on my notes on my phone like this, and yeah, but it just came out of love and honoring of my mother, and to all of us, you know, to so many people who carry, you know, that guilt and the Catholic guilt and guilt in different forms is that we let go of it. It's really important, you know, so.
You have an amazing voice. It deserves to be out there in the world. And so, yeah. I hope that you will share your work. And Reb, I'm so excited for you that you're opening up. I love the idea of you like writing poems when you're at La Botanica, and you're like, the writing is willing to come out even when you're like busy doing something else, right? And writing is in you. You know, you grew up among artists, and like your voice, like I would love to hear that more. Like I know that La Botanica was an amazing place. It wasn't just a place to eat, it was a community space. I think also in service of social justice in terms of the kinds of food that our communities deserve to have access to and experience, right?
Absolutely.
But knowing that you're also thinking about all the different ways that you can feed us with your other forms of art and writing, I'm really excited about that. Well, thank you all. I'm just so honored about the time that you've spent with us, and I really appreciate it. And I really am excited about telling people about the residency and helping to promote the work by all of you.